whakarongo ki te tangi a te kori mako. Kōrero flowing out the hooker force. Kaupapa relevant, kaupapa out of bounds, kaupapa exigent, kaupapa paramount. Nā ko nā whakapiri mai ki te kaupapa tino whakahira hira whakarongo pi kari kari mai. Hare hare mai, o Taringa hare hare mai. We gotta gather up close everybody, gather up close everybody. Kani move that body, kani move that body.
Ko te rau aroha tēnei e rere nei I runga I ngā rau mihi, o tira I te hotaka rua rau o Taringa e whakapāo atu nei ki a koutou, tēnā koutou, nau mai hoki mai, anei ki te punua pāho o Taringa e whakanui nei I te ruarau o ngā hōtaka, kua puta ki te whaiao.
Ki te ao marama.
Ki te ao, I was waiting for you to say, te ao marama, whanganui styles. Nō reira, anei e whakapāo atu nei I te pokapū o Taringa I raro I ngā manaakitanga a te wānanga o te roa from the bustling metropolis of Te Awamutu. And we have these two learned gentlemen with us I tēnei pō.
Very learned.
I tēnei pō.
I tērā pō. Nō reira, hoa mai mihi ana. Ko hoki mai kōrua anei ki te tautoko I a Taringa.
Che.
Man.
Ka pai.
Thank you very much. And tēnā tātai hoa ma.
Tēnā tātou.
Tēnā tātou, tēnā
And
koe.
tari au, kei roto koe I ngā rau mahara. Yeah, so, pewhi ana tātou.
Kano I te ora. Yeah. Good to be here. Last time I was online.
Yes,
Yes.
yeah. Ngāti Rangi episode,
It was one of the early ones.
Yeah.
early tua whakarere.
Yeah, but in this winter's time, and you're going snowboarding, it's best you listen to the Ngāti Rangi episode. Taka.
I've had lots of people actually that have told me when they're driving on Te One Tapu or the other side, they listen to the Ngāti Rangi
Marino.
episode, or they've got it downloaded. So mihi ana kia koe te hoa, ko hoki mai. Bro, Rangi, I konei koe I te tīmatanga.
Yeah.
I think this is my 4th episode that I've been a guest on.
Nō reira, I te mea ko te ruarau tēnei, we've got a perehana, well, to ourselves really.
Yeah.
Hei whakanui I te...
That was on our wish list.
Yeah, on the wish list for a while, eh? So, he whakanuitanga tēnei I te ruarau o Taringa, and aha nei, e whāki atu nei ki a koutou o tira hei tohu muringa I tā tātou kaupapa o Taringa. Nō reira, tahi rua tōru whā, Taringa hi! Taringa ha! Man.
Che.
That is so cool.
And that's where all our budget's gone. So tune in next week.
So our friends had to make this table.
Yeah.
Man, with that, you could be onto something here. Okay? That's a pretty cool table. How tā tātou kiwaha e hoa?
Well, I was thinking of one, mo te tūpono kāre tētai tai mai.
Yeah.
So, mo te tūpono.
Oh, nice.
Te tūpono.
Mo te tūpono.
Yeah, and as te crow would say, or his rangatahi would say, mo te tūps. No, tēnei Taringa ko te tūp, mo te tūpono.
You know, I first heard that from Pānia, mo
Ai.
te tūps. Her and ko rāua ko hana e kōrero whērā ana, mo te tūps.
Mo te tūps.
Yeah. Hei hoi anō, mo te tūpono.
Mai tō amara. Mai tō amarara. Mo te tūpono ka ua mai.
Ka pai.
Bring your umbrella, just in case.
Yeah.
Just in case it rains.
Yeah. Going to, where's the hui? Or at such and such a place. Or take some sandwiches, mo te tūpono.
I'll take my ride, mo te tūpono ka maro ke te hui. So I can gap it.
You got that mo te tūpono?
Yeah. Better get the washing off the line. Mo te tūpono ka ua.
Nice.
Yeah, ka pai. O, e rawe tēnā kiwa. So I'll put that on the kiwa scale from 1 to 5. Where would you put that? Around,
Probably a 3,
a good
4.
one.
yeah.
It's a good
A
one.
high 3s, maybe a low 4.
Yeah. Yeah, tautoko. Ai, koina te kiwaha. Hoi no, hei timatanga e hoa, we're going to start off with a couple of pātai.
Yes,
Whakamahana kōrero.
O te tūpono kāre he kōrero ana.
Yeah.
One of them is from aniwa, tēnā koe aniwa.
E nā koe?
What separates a whai kōrero and a mihi?
So with whai kōrero, there's structure and there's rhythm.
Kia ora.
And with that rhythm, with that beat, you go on a journey just like how a karanga has a rhythm and a beat. And so I think for me the difference is around how there's some formal structure to it, and there should be some rhythm. Even though for a while some people have only ever done hai kōrero without rhythm, but traditionally, and the ones I remember at home with our olds, they always had a beat to them, a rhythm to them, so yeah.
Cool.
Never heard it.
You got a bit
Explained
of-
like
yeah,
that.
You got a bit of a rhythm to you.
Got that flow. You got a rhythm, got a flow.
You got a bit of swag there, she.
Peha whakaro Rangi?
Oh, it's a little bit kind of basic, but I always thought for me, whai kōrero on the marae, mihi off the marae.
Yeah.
That's fairly much what I've thought. And in the whare, a mihi, I would never say i tū au ki te whare ki te whai kōrero. A hau nei, it's just whai kōrero on the marae. Everywhere else is generally a mihi. That's probably a basic rule of thumb. Because I've heard the term, whakarongo ki tērā e whai kōrero ana, you know. So that when a person's speaking, but in its truest sense, I've always thought whai kōrero was the domain of the marae. And the other places you're really doing a mihi.
So when you're saying a marae, just for our listeners, you're meaning outside of the whare.
The marae out there.
Yeah, the marae out there, kia ora.
Yeah. So that's he te mehe momo kōrero tērā.
Aye.
There's a different, not just a nuance, there's a different atmosphere and a different kind of elevated status
Kia ora.
that happens on that courtyard that doesn't really happen anywhere else. That's the only appropriate place in my mind where whai kōrero happens. Other places, and you'll notice the tone, you'll notice the ambience,
Aye.
the way that everyone reacts. There's whai kōrero just seems up that ante, and it's
Yeah,
for me that's the only proper place for a whai kōrero.
Along with the rhythm, as you say now.
Yeah, tuko ki tā. Shay.
So there'll be, you know, there'll be tau parapara, there'll be pāo, nere, all of those different things that add to it.
Kia ora.
It gets a bit difficult for those tribes. Well, difficult's the wrong word, but it's different for those tribes who only run everything inside,
Aye, yes.
like your people.
Aye.
So, you know, they may challenge that.
Yeah.
But I do agree with Rangi that.
Yeah, kia ora.
You know, I've been to like places like, because, you know, my tribe is very formal out the front. That's just, you know, how they, that's what I grew up seeing is that very formal on the marae out there. Then I've gone to other places and it's anything but at times, you know.
Yes.
I'm like,
Yeah.
whoa, that's really informal, and it's kind of,
Don't know how to act.
I don't know how to act,
Yeah.
you know, because it's like, you know, just e kōrero ana.
Aye.
And I think that's just a different style and a different tikanga that I know. So I was like, wow, is this a whai kōrero, you know? So just different iwi approaches, but I've always been kind of taken back when it's really kind of informal on the marae.
Kia ora, yeah. Kia koe, Brownie.
Yeah, those were pretty good.
Yeah.
I'll give them a pass.
Mo te
I'll give
tupono
them
ka
a pass.
whakahengia ngā kōrero e te
But
tainei.
just talking about the north, there are some, you know, ko kitei, ko hare ki etahi o nā kaupapa i te taitokera. Etahi wā, kei waho.
Yeah, ka putātu te kaupapa ki
And,
waho
but,
ka...
yeah, and in saying that, koa tērā iwi o meki o tātou. Te nuinga o te wā, kei roa whare kei rātou e mihi ana.
E mihi ana.
E pōwhiri ana me rā mahi. The hui that I have been to when it is outside, I've noticed the difference.
Aye.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I
some
found
big
that
hui
quite
in the day.
interesting.
Yeah, seen some,
Yeah. But ko te mihi, yeah, you know, e tai wā, you know, ka tū noho ki te mihi, it could be any time.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think that's the big thing that people or learners should realise, that there's a time for it, but mihi can be as much as a wave to a person on the street. Ki te ia koe mihi atu ki a koe Matarika. Yeah, so...
Yeah, we left was after we had a bit of a party and they had a few cup of teas and done a very informal mihi on the way out. So, you know, but e kōrera wau e whai kōrero.
Yeah.
You know, engari he mihi tērā.
Ki te hāwen e tuku ana i te miki tānara kia, o tēnā koe e hoa.
Oh, engari mo te ma. Yeah. Hei, pai tērā pātai.
Me whakarongo pi kari.
Tētahi anō, he pātai tēnei nā wāka nikora, tēnā koe. Just wondering, have you had and uiui with anyone who makes korowai as part of your toy series. I know many would like to know the tikanga around wearing them. Can you buy them for yourself? Must they be gifted? Can you make your own for yourself? Can men make them? Who are they passed on to after someone has passed, or are they buried with the tūpāpaku? So many pātai.
So many pātai. Oh, yeah, that's just like on that episode you've done when I wasn't here. In the toy series with Carl Leonard.
Carl
He's
Leonard,
a
yeah.
weaver, eh?
167, episode 167.
A mean weaver.
Tahirau ono te kaumawhitu.
Oh.
Yeah, and there's lots of etahi ina etahi o nā tupuna o tūhoi ne, like Te Pairi Tūterangi was a known weaver.
Yeah, but he was also a person that wouldn't wear clothes made by female.
Really?
Yeah, pērara wa te tapu o tērā koraua. So his clothing, he made sure that even his European clothing, his suits, he made sure they were tailored by men.
Wow.
I remember Po telling
That's
me
next
about
level.
that. So he wouldn't wear, and that's because of his tapu.
Yeah.
So I also think, I absolutely agree, men were weavers.
Yeah, there's heaps of amazing male weavers. But what about his question around the
How to wear.
korowai? Oh, yeah, that, but also getting buried with people. That doesn't have to happen.
Well, traditionally, they were all buried with a person because
Really?
you didn't have a coffin,
Kia ora.
you know, and so they'd wrap you up with your kakao. And, you know, I come from a mindset where sometimes certain people should still go down with something. Even though the European concept of heritage and protection has come in, I know for people who have done amazing things in their tribes, they should have gone down with a kakao.
Yeah. And now Kai Kōrero, who spoke on the toy series, he said, he mentioned scarcity, because it's such rare, you know, our artists are so rare, or there's very little of them, that we put a lot of meaning and we treasure a lot of these korowai, that we want to keep them up because there's not many makers of them. And so there's also that whakaro
Whereas
as well.
back in the day, everyone would have had one, so they weren't really treated with such high regard, eh?
Well, still with high regard, but it was still available, that the artists or that type of ilk.
Not only the artist, but I think the resource as well, right?
Kia ora.
You know, like you're talking in the times when you know, they used to stuff pillowcases and mattresses full of kereru feathers.
Aye.
And kiwi feathers, right?
kaka.
Aye,
and
aye.
kaka, and they used to eat them.
Aye.
And now those things are just such a treasure. So I think that they've realised that, you know, maybe there was a time when they were just buried, but I think there is also a need to ensure that we have I saw one at Poe's knighthood when we had his one from home, and it's made up of brown and albino kiwi feathers.
Wow.
And that's from,
Oh, yeah.
Pehea te kaumātua tau.
Oh no,
Nā tana kuia, eh?
Nā tana kuia.
Yeah.
Taku nei mohi o nā makurata.
Wow.
And so you imagine how long you would have had to go to collect enough albino kiwis to make a feather cloak like that.
Wow.
Yeah. Beautiful. So, you know, there is I get the point of burying it with them, but also the idea of, you know, I don't know if I'd like to see that go.
Yeah.
Yeah. As an example.
See, I was fortunate enough at my wedding to wear one of Missy's family kākahu, and it was a kahukura. So it was made out of kaka. And all of the kaka feathers for this kākahu all came from a mattress.
Oh, kia ora.
Really?
They all came from a mattress.
Wow.
And just amazing. It's a beautiful kākahu, and I think there are some kākahu that will always go down in generations, just like other taonga. They will always go down, but then there are others that traditionally will go. You know, like we've got a patu in our family that's over 600 years old, and that's deliberately been passed down. Then there are others that are only 100 years old or 5 years old. And, you know, it's about the name and what's been placed on those taonga. But I had a kōrero with a Hawaiian tohunga, Sam Ka'ai. And what Sam talked about was when you don't make the taonga, yes, there's a scarcity issue, but you can also then become lazy. And whereas making the different artefacts or the taonga should be common practice, and they should be used for what they're supposed to be. And in his case, he was talking about his heimato. It's sharp as, so that if he needs to, just pulls it off and goes fishing. Oh, wow, that's cool.
Yeah, he must have the hookups.
Oh, you're sharp tonight.
So can you make them for yourself? Can you buy them for yourself? Pehe o koutou whakaaro.
Some say no, but
Yeah.
Hei kore ai. I mean, like, you know, our tipuna, like, carved houses for themselves and made patu for themselves and rākau. It's the same thing for me. I think so. Absolutely you can.
Kia ora.
and if you think about a taiaha or a patu, the balance for that person. So you've got to be able to, you balance it at the maurire, and you've got to feel that.
Yes, kia ora.
And the other point is Missy's grandmother, she was a well-known weaver, and she made heaps for everybody else, and one of, if not the last one, she made for herself.
Kia ora.
I know you're a dog person.
What, you want a kahukuri, eh?
I've always wanted, I told you about that, eh? I've always wanted one, just like go and pretend to rescue some dogs from the SPCA and then a bit of 101 Dalmatians.
You got a new coat
Well,
for your next hautapa.
When King got his first haircut, I saved his huri.
Oh, true.
Yeah, because ahoa roa haere wana huri kātahi ka kuti.
Go to Aussie cuz, because the dingoes are first cousins to our kuri.
Yeah, Aussie.
Well,
I just thought I'd just go down the road.
not to my house.
How fat's your dog?
It's really interesting to remember te papa had an exhibition and I reira tētai tōpuni. And what they done was they turned it with the glass so you could see how they put it on. It was actually strips.
Yeah, of sewn skin.
Skin together.
So they were skinned.
Different.
Oh, so I thought they collected the tufts,
Some
like how
are-
Tintin got a haircut. Oh, okay.
Some are tufts that are woven in. Because I went down because there's some from home in there, and one's got this. It's actually the skin there in strips and sewn together, and it comes up like a fur coat up
cool.
with it, and it is
Fashion.
I can
beautiful.
imagine using something like that.
Victorian. I'm wearing Labrador.
Yeah, I when I saw that, and I thought, I'd really love
want
one.
to go to the SPCA.
I just don't know what the ethics of it are.
I think too with the, mo te hoko I te kākahu, I ngā waomua I hoko.
I hoko, ai.
Nā taonga. Engari he rereke, kāri hoko nā, e harei te mea ko te moni, te mea hei hoki au a taonga. So it was like hoko, tau hoko. Swap something of the same value or, more.
Yeah.
E tahi o ngā kākahu and patu, they were famous I roto I te ao Māori, and they could be, swapped for a waka taua. Or, pērā rawa te wāriu o e rā taonga.
Oh, and a patu painamu, you'd be able to buy, or we would take a waka that would, a 20-man waka for a patu.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, do they accept crypto? How many Bitcoin for
Bitcoin.
Oh, no.
Koe e pai e rā whakaaro e a koe korana mo te moni hiko. Yeah. Ka pewhia te huri o te ao.
Koina ka.
Yeah, I runga I ngā moni hiko.
So a few glimpses of some possible episodes in the future. Te wāri o te kuri, me te moni, te ahotanga o te hoko. Mo te tūpono ka rongo koe anō I nei kōrero.
Ana.
So nā e mihi ana kia koutou ngā kai pātai.
Tēnā koutou katoa.
Gather up close, everybody.
And also we have a letter from one of our fans.
We do. It's so cool. Who sends letters these days?
We need to get more into letter writing.
Yes. And this is, I think this is really cool because one, it's in a letter. It's not in an email.
Yeah.
And for legal purposes, we've
Mike.
we'll call this person
Parata.
Rangi.
So this letter came
Tino original
all the way from Pārumurimo, eh?
Aye.
Yep. Am I going to read the whole thing? I won't read the name. Taringa. I'm Rangi.
Tēnā koe.
In jail, Auckland prison. I watched Taringa and listened to it on the prison channel. Yeah. Can I have photocopies of words and chords to all Waiata compilation 1, 2, 3 and 4? That must be your job. Please, so I can sing and play. Please, so I can sing and play to the Waiata when I'm allowed to have a guitar. I'll share the kupu and chords with others. Thank you.
Kia ora.
That is so cool.
Tēnā koe.
Man, that's cool, that.
It's really cool. You know, one of the intention that I set at the start before, you know, came into See Mokena with this idea of doing a podcast, Punua Pāho, and it was all about, you know, sharing mātauranga, te reo, well, a lot of people that don't have access,
Kia ora.
you know, inviting people to think, to wānanga, yeah, no matter where they are. So, e mihi ana kia koe, Rangi, e tuhi mai nei tō reta kia Taringa. And to everybody else that we meet on the street, get Facebook messages from, after your kauhau i te rāne e hoa, yeah, I puta mai e tehi, ki te kōrero, and they refer to episodes like people have their favourites.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of them's yours as well. Yeah.
We'i.
Yeah. We'i. That's one of my top keywords.
Yeah, we were saying that. Yesterday.
Yeah.
It's like, man, and I say it in that way too. I'm like, we'i nā.
So it's cool. We get a lot
Kohina
of,
is my
you know,
favourite.
we get a lot of Facebook.
Did you hear that? It's
What?
Kohina tore tana
Oh
tino
yeah,
kōrero.
she does. She does.
Yes.
Yeah.
Put the
Sometimes it
tupono
takes
ka-
a long time for that hina tore to come. Sometimes in America, but it does. Yeah.
Comes
So
eventually.
e mihi ana kia koe.
And the letter,
Yeah.
an actual letter.
Yeah.
You know, it's if you want your questions answered more promptly, write a letter.
It's funny because about 2 months ago, I had to write about 10 letters to some of my olds. And, well, it was a card. And it was
kia ora.
normally, you know, you just message or email or whatever. But I sat there and I wrote, and I was thinking, this feels funny. But it was cool too. I got a few letters back.
Oh,
Kia ora.
cool. I just feel it would be so much more special receiving a handwritten letter in the mail
Ana.
rather than an annoying text or something.
Yeah.
It's not very environmentally friendly though, is it?
Might be on
Just putting it
harakeke
out there.
paper or harakeke paper.
Just putting it out there.
Fly it on a bird?
Speaking of letters, i te rāna i rungo i te kōrero a Titoko Waru, i kōrero tiara e koe. And that was actually sent in a letter.
Ai, kia ora.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. So te waha nui had told the surveyors not to come into the King Country. Kaua e ruri i roto i te rohe pōtai, ka haere tonu, ka puhia te kairuri. And he sent a letter to Titoko Waru, and the letter was, pēnei te wairua, e hoa kua mate iau te kaumomona o te tau. Kua pania ono toto ki ngā pari o pari ninihi. That's what he said in his letter. So I've killed the fat cow of the season, and I've smeared his blood on the cliffs at Parininihi. And there's a lot of layers in there, because talking about the southern boundary of the rohe pōtai. And then Titoko Waru replied and played on that kairuri when he said back, and it was quite a long response, but started, tēnā koe hoa, tirohi atu au Matariki ko anō ki ngā puke o tautoru, ko mohi o tātou koe te kairuri o te tau tahi kia pipiri rua kia hōngongoi. And then there's lots of kōrero like that about letters and going between our tūpuna.
Nice.
You know, I recall a letter by Rangi Topeora, and at the time, the first, Matene Te Whiwhi had done the rounds to set the Māori king up. But Rangi Topeora didn't agree. And there was dissension in Raukawa Teo ki te tonga. And yeah, she wrote this in this letter, she's talking about how she doesn't agree with it. But yeah, just thinking about, you know, ngā kōrero a ngā mātua tūpuna i roto i ngā reta, but particularly that one that you shared today about Titoko Waru. And even, I think too, bro, one thing kare anō tēnei kia wānangatia, but they also used kairuri was another kupu they used for ruler.
Yeah, I saw that.
Ruler,
I saw that. Yeah.
So it could be like kairuri surveyor or ruler, as in the ruler.
Yeah.
Like
a captain.
kairuri o te tau.
Yeah.
Yeah. So while we're on Matariki, and kei konei tātai, because this is one of the, and you know, we've done lots of Matariki I Taringa. You know, that was your first one, Rangi. That was the first Taringa was launched after or during Matariki.
During
Matariki. And that was something that we said at the start, that Taringa was going to start on Te Tau Māori.
Aye.
And ever since then, we've had, you know, ka whakanui I a Taringa I te wā o Matariki. We're getting a lot of kōrero or pātai asking about Puanga. And Matariki has invigorated a lot of that, I believe, and people to go out and...
public holiday coming up.
Ana.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a good kōrero for us to have about those belief systems, e pāna kia Puanga, kia Matariki. Me tāku, e harai te mea, he paia ke tētahi.
Kia ora.
Ana.
Kia ora.
Koera, e harai te mea me tuki, ko tētai kei te whakataitai tētai. Hoi, he kōrero mā tātou.
Well, Rangi and I were doing a kōrero on some page. Might have been the Ngāti Rangi one, eh?
Yeah.
And I was really clear that there's no competition. And you look at our kōrero, talking about kairuri, the kōrero of our people says, ko Puanga te kairuri I te tau tauito, ko Matariki te kai uaki I te tau o.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's quite simple. And
So to unpack that, kare marama.
So Puanga farewells the old year, Matariki welcomes the new year. And that kairuri is to draw a line. So it's the first reference to kairuri rather than the second reference that you gave. And so Puanga draws the line or farewells the old year, Matariki welcomes the new year. And right now, because we'll say, e tū Puanga I te tahi o pīpiri, huai na tōwhare ko maru aonui, ka puta ko te kāhuiua. And you'll hear Te Poihi Campbell talk about that on Wakahuia. What's interesting is maru aonui sets in the rākau nui phase before pipiri, so in haratua. And that's the beginning of the period, because what one of my uncles used to always say, ka hua ngā pua, koia ko Puanga. And it was a season, not necessarily to focus in on the new year. But it was a period of time where from the miro through to the piharo,
Kia ora.
you're acknowledging that that's your brief moment after you've harvested the miro and before you go and catch the piharo. Well, not the miro, harvest is still kiriru. You have a brief space to have a break and wānanga. Plus, the weather tells you that because e tāna ngā rākau. So, you know, I think the cool thing is that we're going to have a holiday, and I really support the Matariki holiday. And I'm not fussed whether it's called Matariki or not, because I think what's really important is a lot of people from home will say, oh no, we don't do Matariki, which isn't correct.
Kia ora.
Puanga is the focus because in the Whanganui River Valley, because of the angle, it's hard to see Puanga until later, see Matariki until later. But all our kōrero always talks about te paiururangi. And, you know, we've got places all around home, and then where I was raised, up in the Maunga, wai o uru is te wai o ururangi. Yeah, and it flows into the Hautapu stream. And at the foot of the Hautapu stream is te Whakatara o Pairangi. And the Raurau Whakatara is what you put into the umu for the hautapu.
Wow.
So it's all there.
It's all there, literally.
It's all there. It's just that traditionally we weren't there during that time of year because it's freezing. Down the river. We're back in the Mediterranean.
Back in your summer homes.
At the Winter Palace.
So is Puanga just one star?
Well, Puanga's the star, and then there's a bit of a kāhui there.
Oh, okay.
Rangi shared kōrero about that too. And, between Puanga and ngā puke o Tautoru, there's other stars. You can see them, they're faint, but you can see them.
Yeah. So just above the pot, if you go from the middle...
Yeah, I know which one.
Middle
Puanga
star.
is.
The middle of
Ngā
Tautoru.
whata.
Ngā whata, go straight up, there's Puanga. Kia ora.
So there's Te Whānau Puanga is there, and it's Puanga and her 3 daughters. And it's said that they're also she is one of the wives of Rehua.
Oh man, that guy, he had heaps of wives.
He did very similar to Tāne,
Ko te
right?
tūpono ka riri tētai ki
And those are the first the first flowers or blooms that come back to the forest after midwinter. So the clematis is first. So one of the puawānanga or pikiārero, it's also known. But that's when it comes straight up, the pikiārero. So puawānanga, pikiārero me tahumate. So tahumate is a tree that vine grows on a lot. So they're seen to bloom just after the winter. So Puanga is attributed to bringing the first life back after the winter. You know that the season has turned. So, and I just want to agree with what Che is saying, is that I think it's a very modern take on how we have knowledge. It's a very Western idea that you kind of have this school versus that school, right? It's a competitive element within the knowledge-based systems. Like there's a boundary on my knowledge and my knowledge extends to here, and anything beyond that, we don't know anything about. Whereas our ancestors, they travelled so much. They interacted and they collected knowledge. I'm yet to go to an iwi that has puanga but doesn't have matariki, or one that has matariki and doesn't have puanga.
Kia ora.
It's everywhere. It's just different people choose to mark the turning of the seasons differently. And so that's what the variation is. And some of the people, some of the people that I learn off and are my real idols in the space, they don't use matariki to mark the new year. But I still learn so much off them and their way that they approach it. So there isn't and we need to stop setting it up as that maramataka versus my maramataka. Because we're just like your mita versus my mita. It's a stupid argument, right? It's just stupid, and it's not a Māori argument. That is a Western idea about having knowledge systems, because what academics do in institutions is spend their time forwarding their argument and discrediting other people's argument. And that's not a Māori approach to knowledge, from what I think anyway.
And I was always raised, ko tō piki amo kura nō, ko tōku piki amo kura nōku. And so your house of knowledge is yours, my house of knowledge is mine. Neither are wrong. They may be different. And I think what's really important is we've become so precious and influenced by the West that we are mimicking Western behaviours.
Yeah, we don't even realise.
Yes, there will be variations, but it's still the same moon. It's still the same sky. But the variation is how you then pass it on and the story that you put to it. I think about tahumate, and Rangi might call it the puahau, we might call it the ho-ho. Some others will generally call it the fau-fau paku. But what I like about tahumate is because we don't have kawakawa at home in the mountain because it's too cold. So we use the ho-ho, which connects to tahumate. And the thing is that you're looking for different things. So puanga isn't about a new year as such, as I know it. It's about that change of season to enter into wānanga, because you've just got the fruits, kāhua ngā pua, koia ko puanga. So you've just got the fruits of the season, wati koa ngā pai hau orupe. And I saw a flock yesterday on Maunga Taranaki, and probably a flock of about 8 flying, but they weren't very fat.
Cool though.
And yeah, it was cool to see a flock. But after all of the work associated with getting all, because you've just done all your gardening and all of that as well, it's a chance to reset and wānanga. Because at home, on the West Coast, so Taranaki and Wanganui, Maru, he's one of our atua matua. Everything is about Maru. We don't give any of our kai to Tangaroa, we give it to Maru.
Yeah. Kia ora.
And so everything's about Maru. And that reference to Maru Aonui is quite an important reference as well, because, he opens up so that we can be replenished. And it's talking about when the kahui ua comes, it's talking about replenishing, because the land's been working for so long to give us food, to give us all these different things. So it needs to have a rest as well, a bit like a hibernation.
Yeah.
Before it all starts growing again.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Very cool.
Yeah, you fellas need to jump on Facebook more and tell some of those fellas to shout out. Because there's a lot of that goes on.
Relations.
On social media, like, he nui te hunga, that's te hara te rei te kōrero, ngā pui hara te rei te kōrero a. Ki au kei konei te tauira, miringa te kakara,
Ai.
I te whiranga kua, ki te motu, there was named that everybody came to miringa te kakara, ki te wānanga.
Ki te wānanga, tika. Yeah, I just want to add quickly, I was talking to my uncle Rere Atamakiha about taking the practice up of the hautapu back up north, and he goes, yeah, that's all good. I'll give you the Puanga one. And I said, I'm over in Rāwhiti in the east, in the Bay of Islands. He goes, pai, you fellas do Matariki over there. And this was just a casual phone call, which was really, really good to hear. And because, there's always differing opinions about things, and it was great to hear.
He is one of my absolute idols.
He's amazing.
He is, and I always say when I'm in any public place or anywhere actually, I tell people, in my mind, he is the leading expert in the country on lunar calendar systems. And it's not just his knowledge, but his application that I think sets him apart. And, I learn from him all the time. And I sit with him now. He looks for rehua setting while Puanga is rising to mark his new year. I look for a different set of markers, but they're around the same time. But we can sit down and there is no conflict between our discussions. He'll say something, I'm like, wow, that makes so much sense. And then I'll say a name. He goes, where's that star? I'll say there. He goes, wow, because that, and we just feed off each other. So it's a learning process. But I've never felt that kind of, this is ngāpuhi and that's too, and we're different. Because he says, no, he says to me, we have Matariki, but it's different in terms of its application because of where we are.
Proximity,
environment and all those indicators. And I think, that's not how we practice it. And I've had that, one of my lectures, we don't practice that. I say, what do you practice? I don't know, but not that. And it had nothing to do with practice and more about where you're from.
Yeah.
And I think that is something that we need to stop doing and stop kind of making these people with different mita or different approaches or different understandings or whaikōrero styles or different versions of a waiata clash. Because it feeds into a much richer culture when you're able to feed into other people and help them and support them, even if they're different, to understand the basics and then move into really being the lead in their regions or their space or their communities with that knowledge base. It's the sharing of knowledge that we're starting to forget about. And we've got to stop building walls and thinking that this knowledge doesn't cross that river because it's a different iwi. Bloody hell, we need to stop doing that.
And imagine the problems that we would have if we all had the same outlook on things. We wouldn't see a solution.
So you're talking about the world.
We can
which way the toilet paper should go.
Yeah.
We all know it's to the wall. It's from the wall, not the other way.
To the window or to the
just get on.
No, do it the other way.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, but yeah.
Beautiful, Brownie, beautiful.
Taringa.
I ata whakarite kia tū tēnei I te wā o rākau nui. So, something that I think a few of us have been doing, definitely Rangi yourself, you know, probably in the last 2 years, kua ngana ki te whai te maramataka, e rāhuatanga. And, you know, ko koe te me te tangata i whakahiri aku whakaro e hoa. What happens, you know, because I've been doing a pretty good job at fitting my Western calendar to the maramataka. As best as I can interpret the maramataka with my limited knowledge. E harau i te tohunga, but I know when it's rākai nui, I know when it's whiro, I know some of the ones in between, are they up, down. But there's sometimes when a hui has to be on that date, or something's due on that date. So, hea etahi kōrero e pāla, you know, when there's no two ways about it. You're going to have your hui on a whiro, you're going to have to...
Yeah. You know, I've always been of the opinion, I use this analogy all of the time. You know, we talk in ideals when we talk about the maramataka.
Kia ora.
You know, we talk in ideals. Oh, this is the best time to do this, and this is the best time to do that. But you're right. Sometimes you don't have a choice. And I always say to people, it's like when you say don't mow your lawn in the rain, right? It's not as if you can't. It's just harder. But sometimes you don't have an option, right? It's been raining for a week. You got to cut your lawn. So you get out there and you mow it in the rain. Sometimes there are situations where, you know it's not the best time, but you just got to grind it out. The main thing is that you're aware that it's probably going to be a little bit more difficult than other times. And the other thing is it's really clear, I think, from practitioners will realise this, is the maramataka doesn't affect everyone to the same degree. I find that from my understanding, how I've seen it, we're all made up of water and it affects us all. But females, for the most part, are a lot more susceptible to the changes in the lunar phases as opposed to male. It's a real female element for me, the lunar phase, the lunar system. But it's not like if you go outside and it's fatal, you're going to die.
Pending doom.
I see a bad moon rising. That used to freak me out when I was little. So
we need to stop thinking about, they are rules of thumb, and if you can sink in as best you can, then that's really good. But there's examples of it historically, like we talked about Hoturo going out on tamatea. That's because he said, let us scrap it out on the ocean then. So it's not as if you can't do certain things, but it's probably not as productive or as won't bear the same fruits as if you did it in the optimum time. But the optimum time only happens when it's available to happen, if that makes sense. Hey?
Kia ora. It'd be like, people stuck in urban cities and they're stuck in traffic, spend a lot of time in traffic, and they'll get home, chirpy because not knowing what phases, and the other day might be whiro, and they go, man, that was a haul through traffic. You'd be doing the same thing. You could be doing the same thing, but the way it occurs to you may differ.
Well, and that rule of thumb around mowing the lawns, you just got to put extra effort in if you're going to mow it during the rain. And it's the same with whether it's whiro or kore or tamate or whatever. You've just got to work extra hard. But there are other things that may happen in those different phases as well. So they're not just bad, but it's just that you've got to be more aware.
Kia ora.
Yeah.
That's all.
And better prepared sometimes. How I'm going to have this hui on kore, so everyone's probably going to be flat. I probably need to do a lot more preparation so our hui doesn't just talk about rubbish and, we're just really in and out of that hui as quickly as possible.
Quick. Put some cake on the table,
just mitigate some of those. Mitigate some of that, some of those issues.
Travelling too, say travelling, if it was like, did I say whiro again, travelling in whiro, take your time, take breaks, live in a good space of mind, karakia. Which I want to quickly add on to what Praone asked. You're the CEO of your own company. How do you apply the maramataka to you?
I would run dual calendar systems. It's quite easy to do because we can't get out of the Western Gregorian solar calendar system, because if you're a CEO of a company, you'll know that system drives the day-to-day activities. The whole economic system is driven on the commerce today. That's one of the major drivers for that system of time. But what I would do is I'd understand clearly where I am in my Western calendar, and I would understand clearly where I am in my lunar Māori lunar calendar system. I would probably look to have the bigger breaks or give people rests during this time of the year. Che's right, haratua coming down to pipiri and flattening out into hongongoi and then starting to rise as you get into mahuru And then my busiest times where I'd be expecting more from my kaimahi would be in the, a bit in the spring, into the summer, but definitely into the autumn.
Yep.
That's when I'd be pushing.
Industrious.
And then I would mark out, just highlight on the calendar when the fetal dates are, when the good moons are, when the bad, and just try and say, look, if you can shift your focus and work, know not to probably push some difficult issues or some harder stuff during those difficult phases. If I can, I'd run a dual system, I'd plan it out for the year, and I'd approach it in that way.
Like board meetings, working from home, look at whiro, look at mutu. Have your
Board meetings, working from home, board meeting. Working from home.
Board meeting,
See, because I'm my own CEO.
Kia ora.
For me, my love and I. And so my niece, she has the technology to, you give her your maramataka that's been in your family or whatever, and she can put it then into an app and QR code it, and then it comes up on your own calendar, your own whānau or hapu or iwi maramataka. And so I've been doing that for the last year through what she gave me.
And, amazing.
Oh, she's amazing.
Wei.
Ko wai tō i rā mutu.
Meretini Bennett Huxtable. She's based in Taihape.
There you go.
And so there are some of my board meetings that are just set on the first Monday or the last Friday, whatever. But other things that aren't, then I try and align them to the maramataka. And you just got to, sometimes you can, sometimes you can't.
Yep. And those are really good. And a lot of people working in the space doing some great stuff, and a lot of the apps and that are really, really cool. One of the things we need to be very, very careful of is we don't do the basics, which is go outside and look at the moon. And that's what we're doing. We're syncing ourselves in by just using the calendars without actually reconnecting to the environment. You've got to go out and you've got to when we get out after this, you look up into the sky and you'll see some just absolutely amazing, the lunar phases, the position of stars, what's happening in the environment. You've got to actually sink in, because if you're not, all you're doing is making the lunar calendar environmentally driven system fit into the Western calendar system. That's all you're doing. You're just making it fit into that system.
And imagine standing outside and going, bro, what's the lunar phase today? Oh, hang on, bro.
Oh, yeah, because the amount of people that ask me, well, what's a lunar phase? I say, well, go outside and look up. That's a lunar phase.
Yeah. And that's what I like about how they teach it in Kura in Hawaii. They teach it by looking at the shape of the marama. And so I've got some mokopuna that go to Kura over there. And the few times I've been there, last time I was there, we were talking about different things, and Pehi goes to his boy, ao te marama. Ole pau. So kore pau. And
They're just by looking at it.
he goes, ole pau.
But you got to go outside because you'll go LED.
Yeah.
Not do this either. Wait on. Well, that's a good, he nui te ako I roto I tērā. Te mutungi ho, e puta ki waho. Hey, tiro ki te marama, kaua e te tiro ki tō app, kaua ki reira anake. But it's a whole lot of things there, and it's a process. It's a long game.
It's a long game.
Yeah,
Long game. It's reconnecting, re-indigenizing.
Yeah.
Yes, being understandable about that. You're unpacking what you've inherited and actually getting back what you naturally should be inheriting.
And programs like Taringa and what the wānanga does, and I really do want to, and I'm not employed by the wānanga to say this, but what you guys are doing, I think is so critical, because we're at I think the generation who established the wānanga, we're really about reclaiming our spaces, and what this kind of podcast does is it is actually creating a next generation of practitioner. Now that's when mātauranga lives. It can't just be if you learn to study, or you study your Māori culture, then you might as well just stick it in the museum, because that's all it is. It's a field of study. But when it's practiced and lived, now that's when a culture becomes alive through its language and culture. And what you guys have done, and particularly with the Matariki stuff, favourite episodes is your hautapu. Absolutely favourite episode. The booklet is absolutely amazing. I take my hat off to you and the support you know, for me, I've had from the wānanga with te or Matariki and, you know, seeing my ancestors' knowledge come to life in the truck. And I said to you, Puanga, that's one of the moving moments of my life, you know. I sat there and I wept, and I'm not like that, but I saw my ancestors' knowledge come to life.
Nice.
But you're helping to embed the practice in this next generation. And it's by practice that our culture will survive.
Kia ora.
That's its true platform. If it's practice, it's lived, normalised. And so, yeah, I just want to mihi to you all for that. And I'll send you my own voice.
Well, we can only do a koha system.
Just on those practices, I did enjoy, even though I don't eat it myself, our hakari before this Kai Te Wakanui, our 200th episode, was nice to see Kānga Waru. You know, Erica.
Thank you.
It's beautiful to see.
Shout out to my mate Max, Hati Ngāti Cafe. She taught me how to make that.
Ka pai, Max. O tēnā tātou e hoa mā. A koe kōna tātou mo te maramataka, and I love te wānanga all night. Me hoki mai ki te Gregorian time. Kei te haere ngā ringa o te karaka, engari e mihi ana kia kōrua.
Ai, tēnā kōrua.
E hoa mā, brothers. Me hoki mai nei kia Taringa. O tira tātou e hoa mā. Whakanui tātou katoa. Ana i te ruarau o Taringa. So, you know, ka huri ki te tai waiata. Hohunura wātu.
Hohunura wātu.
Kia koe.
Hei whakamāma. Rangi would normally sing something from Jimi Hendrix or...
Rangi tui tika in the house.
Oru whā.
Puti puti kane hana e Maku koe kato e Me mea ko koe Taku taku mau Pirawa I kene umae Pirirawa Pirirawa I tēnei umae Urutia I amau Hiro e hi
Tēnā tātou katoa.
Bit whakaronga pi kari kari Gather up close everybody buddy Taringa, taringa, taringa Yeah, ta huri mai ki yo Whakarongo ki te tangi a te kori mako Korero flowing out the hooker force Kaupapa relevant, kaupapa out of bounds Kaupapa exigent, kaupapa paramount Nā ko nā whakapiri mai ki te Kaupapa tino whakahira hira Whakarongo pi kari kari mai Hare hare mai, o Taringa hare hare mai We gotta gather up close everybody Gather up close everybody Kani kani move that body Kani kani move that body
Taringa, he mea tuku nā te wānanga o Aotearoa, ā nā te māngai pāho I tautoko. To listen to more episodes, search for us on your podcast app and subscribe. Taringa, whakarongo mai.